has been out on the stump for Kamala Harris today. But first, I'm joined by Jason Miller, senior advisor to the Trump campaign. Thanks for coming on the show. You had a plan against Joe Biden. You were confident you could beat him. So how has your strategy changed? And do you think the map has changed?
Well, the strategy fundamentally doesn't change. We're running on a very direct strategy of making sure that we're going to lower costs for Americans and also make our country safer by securing the border. And as we start heading into the return of kids going back to school and parents are having to spend more money on things such as new school clothes and new expenses, and people are reminded again how much more expensive things are under Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, that's another thing that we think will bring that front and center. Because keep in mind, yes, the Democrats have a new person at the top of the ticket with Kamala Harris, but Kamala Harris still very much owns all of the entire Joe Biden record. Plus, Kamala Harris has her own more left of center, as I would even say, radically liberal record herself.
So let me just respond to a couple of those things. As you know, in the first couple of years of the Biden presidency, they kept 2.8 million migrants out, which is why the number of deportations is down, because if people never come in, you can't deport them. A rate cut. Big headline in the Wall Street Journal, finally in view. We know that the prices have been moderating of groceries. But it's not for us to debate that. It's for the candidates to debate that. You have said or said in the past that Donald Trump would debate. Is that still good?
Absolutely. We think that Democrats need to pick who their ultimate nominee is going to be. That needs to be formalized before we go and lock in all the debates.
Well, come on, you agreed to this before your nominee was formalized.
But hold on. But we need to make sure the Democrats actually go through and lock in Kamala Harris. It was only a month ago, Chris, that many Democrats who wanted to throw Joe Biden overboard were saying we need to go to this mini primary. We need to go with somebody else other than Kamala Harris. It's only been in this past week that there's been any sort of effort to rally around Kamala Harris. The exact same people, in fact, who are saying that Joe Biden was okay are the same people that are saying now we have to get behind Harris.
But it was only in the last week she had the number of delegates to secure the nomination.
But hold on. 14 million Democrats voted for Joe Biden in this primary system. And now all of those votes, those voters are being
told
will
Donald Trump debate Kamala Harris?
Oh, of course we're going to debate the Democrat nominee if that's Kamala Harris. Once she goes through, that becomes formalized. I believe the date they're looking at is August 7th, then, of course. But, Chris, I got to go back to one thing you said for a moment when you're talking about the rate of inflation. The fact of the matter is everything is still getting much more expensive. We're at about 20% cumulative inflation right now. Energy costs are up about 50%. As we've seen from reporting in the New York Post and other places, mortgages are up 90%. Chris, people are being crushed all around the country. It's not going down. Things are still getting more expensive, maybe just slightly less fast. Every day we're opening up the newspapers or turning on the television and seeing these horror stories like the murder of Laken Riley or Rachel Morin or Jocelyn Nungry. And these are the types of things that voters are looking at. They're saying which of these candidates can actually go and turn the country around. Only a few short years ago, President Trump had us at this fantastic economy. But then now, under the Biden-Harris administration, we've seen effectively what amounts to a $28,000 household tax increase. That's effectively what it is with the inflation going up. People want a different direction. That's what we're going to do with President Trump and Senator Vance.
So what we have seen is that the polls have tightened. The fundraising has tightened. So what is your proof that that statement is true? If anything seems to be true, is that is a tougher race for Donald Trump than it was just a week ago?
Actually, I disagree with that as well. I mean, what we've seen is Kamala Harris is
You don't buy the polls, or do you have different internal polls?
But hold on. But President Trump is still leading, whether it be nationally, whether it be in the battlegrounds.
Within the margin of error.
Joe Biden, some of those, but still
and by
leading.
less than he was with Joe Biden on the ticket.
You look at 8 years ago. But hold on. But you look at where President Trump is. President Trump is still the front runner in this race. The one other bit of caution I'd offer, Chris, is that Democrats really need to worry about buyer's remorse. Keep in mind, in 2019, Kamala Harris never actually even made it to the starting gates in Iowa. The exact, going back, as I said a moment ago, going back 4 weeks, Democrats were not rallying around Kamala Harris because she'd A lot of people did not think that she could actually carry the ticket. With President Trump, we have someone where we've seen the success of the economy so recently that people realize we can get that back. All we have to do is get the energy production going, stop with the stimulus spending that artificially juices up inflation, make some smart monetary policy moves. We can get that back in such a short order, and that's what we want to deliver for people. So I would really caution Democrats. They might have some buyer's remorse, but if they want to change in direction, if they want things to become cheaper, they want their lives to become more affordable, that's what President Trump is running on.
Jason Miller, it's good of you to come on the program. Thank you. I want to bring in a man reported to be on the short list as Kamala Harris's running mate, as well as a campaign surrogate, Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear, who joins us from Georgia, where earlier today he headlined a campaign event for Kamala Harris in Forsyth County, which Donald Trump won by nearly 2/3 of the vote. Okay, so a buyer's remorse. You just heard what Jason Miller had to say. Are you hearing that from Democrats?
Oh, my goodness. We are seeing more energy than I've ever seen in politics. I went this morning to what's supposed to be a ruby red county on this weekend of action. They were hoping there might be 50 people, and we had 300 plus. They are fired up. They don't want to go back. They want to move forward. They are excited about making Vice President Harris our next president. You see the fundraising. You see thousands upon thousands of people signing up to volunteer. She is on a roll. We're going to keep this energy up, and we are going to elect her as the next president of the United States.
Well, I don't need to tell you, your state, Kentucky, has been reliably red since the 50s. Donald Trump won there in 2020 by 26%, and you won last year by 5%. Your approval ratings are in well above 60%. I think the last one I saw was around 62%. So what's the secret sauce, do you think, for the Harris campaign to compete in purple states? And do you think it's possible that they could have a different map? You just heard what Jason said. He doesn't think the map has changed.
Oh, I believe the map has changed. Georgia is in play, and Georgia is going to go